My name is Phil Noble, and I'm running for governor. And I want to thank y'all for coming here. I want to thank friends and supporters. Most of all, I want to thank my wife and my daughter, who have both been overly patient this whole process. They've been through it. But the reason we're here today is something very special. This is a Confederate Veterans Day in South Carolina. Most people don't know that. But that's, in one sense, an appropriate time for this announcement, because if you think of South Carolina's history, we have had our greatest tragedies all tangled up with our greatest triumphs. And the great tragedy of this state and this nation was the Civil War. And today, I'm here to announce my running mate, Dr. Gloria Burnell Tanubu. And the idea that she would be a candidate for lieutenant governor would not even have been conceivable to the folks who inaugurated Confederate Veterans Day, not 20, not 40, not 60, but even 100 years ago. It would just been unthinkable. But that's what makes this special. Our triumphs in this state are about the future. It's about what we can be and not about what we have been. It's about our potential as opposed to our past. And that's why I'm excited today to announce that Gloria Tanubu, Dr. Tanubu, is going to be my running mate for lieutenant governor. She is a very special woman. She's born and raised here in South Carolina in Plantersville, just up the coast. She got a PhD from Clemson University in agricultural and rural economic development. She has had an amazing career, not only in this state, where she has been on the board of the Palmetto Works Community Development. She's been on the board of the statewide United Way. She's been a part of the Diversity Leadership Institute at Furman, on and on. And most of all, she's been a teacher, a college professor, a college president, and she had a very successful career in state house and in state politics in Georgia before she moved back to South Carolina. So she is an amazing woman who has a unique resume, unique to this state, unique to who she is, but also unique to what we need in this state going forward to try to build a new South Carolina, not the old South Carolina, not tinkering with the old, but creating a new South Carolina of new possibilities with new people and new ideas. And so with that, Gloria, thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Good afternoon. First, I want to thank Phil for that very gracious introduction. Secondly, I want to say that I'm honored to be his running mate, and I thank him for selecting me from among a very outstanding field of candidates. Phil and I are friends. That goes without saying. We've known each other for 6 or 7 years now. But that's not why I am honored to run with him. I'm honored because Phil's campaign reflects his lifelong commitment to standing up for our democratic values and fighting for big change, real reform right now. So what are some of those democratic values that Phil and I stand for and care about? We believe in equal opportunity for all and privileges for none. That government should be of, for, and by the people, not for the special interest. We believe that working families should have the right to a living wage that is self-sufficient. And Phil stands with the 2.4 million South Carolina women like me who will not be silenced and are demanding equal pay for equal work. Ooh. Phil knows that our state is in desperate need of economic development, particularly in our rural areas where our schools, our infrastructure, healthcare, broadband, transportation, and access to basic necessities of life are woefully inadequate. Phil has a vision for a new South Carolina where state government is reformed from the top to the bottom. Unfortunately, change isn't happening in our state legislature today. We're about to complete a session and the many issues that confront our state have gone unattended. So the question for us this election cycle is similar to the one raised by my shero, the late Honorable Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, who in 1976 at the Democratic National Convention said, "Are we to be one people bound together by a common spirit, sharing a common endeavor, or will we become a divided nation?" And as we look around at what's happening today on the national scene, we may say that Congressman Jordan was prophetic. In closing, I'd like to paraphrase her words to make it meaningful to South Carolinians. So my question to us is, are we to be one people bound together by a common spirit? A common spirit that's reflected in the state's motto, which says, "While I breathe, I hope." And will we commit to sharing a common endeavor, which is the ideals of this country, which says liberty and justice for all? Or will we become a divided state again? I believe with Phil Noble as governor for South Carolina, we can lead the nation in forming a more perfect union. And as for me and my community, we stand with Phil for big change, real reform right now. Thank you very much.
What makes this ticket special is not the ethnic or the gender diversity. It is that. But what makes this ticket different is that everybody else who is running in the Democratic primary for governor or lieutenant governor, or we expect to run, they all fit in one group. They're all part of the legislature. They're corporate lawyers with their lobbyists. They're people who are part of the problem. They're the status quo. And that is the change. That's the big difference. Dr. Tinubu and I represent a very different worldview. We represent business. We represent academics. We represent people who are out and need to be in. And if you think about where we are in South Carolina today, what this campaign is really about, it's about sending a message to the State House. And we are just the messenger. The message is really simple. This is the last day of the legislature, and this legislature has not enacted a single piece of legislation about this $9 billion crime that the state utilities, with complicity by the legislature, are inflicting on the people of South Carolina. $9 billion they're essentially stealing from us, and the legislature has done nothing. We need to send them a message that it's time. It's time for them to act. If you look beyond that, we have not had a single piece of common sense gun reform legislation passed this session. The Charleston loophole, which enabled the Manual 9, that is still undone. We need to send them a message that we demand simple, common sense gun reform. We've got to do something about the corruption in this state. They have not passed this session a single piece of meaningful ethics legislation that is going to prevent the Quinn's ongoing family scandal that is infecting our legislature. We need to send them a message that the time of pay-for-play, corrupt politics is over. That's the message we need to send them. And over again, we need an open government where freedom of information laws are observed. We need to have equal pay for equal work. We need to have an honest, diverse energy system based on renewables. Over and over again, these are the messages that we're hearing every day. And we are simply the vehicle to deliver the message to the legislature. It's time for a change. It's time for difference. It's time for a new kind of government, new kind of politics, and that's what Gloria and I represent. And so the choice is really clear. We're going to have more of what we got. More state house politicians, more corporate lawyers and their lobbyists, or we can have change. we have different kind of candidates that represent a different South Carolina, that represent not our past and the problems, but our future and our opportunities. That's what this is about, and that's why I'm running, and that's why I'm so happy to have Gloria as my running mate. So thank you. Any questions from our friends in the with the camera? You're good to go?
Laws for Charleston.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things that the State House is just taking all the power, all the decisions, and making it themselves and telling the folks on the local level, get lost. We're making all the decisions. And that's really a system of plantation politics, which takes Democrats and Republicans in the big house, they get together, they make the laws, they benefit themselves, and then they tell us on the local level, in Charleston, in the local communities, this is how it's going to be. And we need to flip that. We need, for the local communities, like Charleston, like the Low Country, to be telling Columbia what we need, as opposed to them trying to tell us, here's the way it's going to be, and you're stuck with it. It's that plantation politics. That system has got to change.
I guess, like for young people, a lot of us are skeptical about voting. Like we sometimes think that politicians are in our corner. How do you plan on getting like to the younger masses?
Sure. Well, you're right. Most of the political leaders in this state really don't give a damn about younger people. They don't care about people who are in the rural areas. They don't care about people who don't look like them. And part of what this campaign is about engaging young people to play a role and to take responsibility and do stuff themselves. I mean, if you look around here, I don't know what the average age is, but it's probably, Mac, you can get out of here. But,
You take us out, we'll live in.
and I think that this campaign looks like what South Carolina ought to look like. It's what our government and politics ought to look like, with young people, black and white, from all parts of this state getting involved. And you know, it's pretty hollow when politicians say, well, I want young people involved, and they don't have them involved. But look around. Our campaign is about young people.
Your campaign manager.
My campaign manager.
Yeah.
Where's Brandon?
He's a young person.
He's a young person. There he is.
And the only.
Yeah, and Brandon, I didn't know this. I've known Brandon for years, and we worked together, and we hired him to be campaign manager. And it was only about a month later he told me that he is the only African American campaign manager in a governor's race in the whole country. The only one.
And how old is he?
32.
32.
32. And he's in charge. Anything else? And thanks to all the folks on Facebook. Come to the site, ask us questions, leave us a message, send us a little donation. Facebook is important to this campaign, and the folks who are part of that Facebook community are important to us. So thank you. Anybody else? Thank y'all. Thank you.